Welcome back to another episode of the Branching Out podcast. On this episode, we're talking to Joe Sauvage. He's our quality and compliance manager working in utilities and inland waterways. So let's get started. Welcome, Joe. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
Well, thanks for having me.
I'm
So,
really excited because I don't really know a lot about what you guys are doing these days in utilities and inland waterways. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about what you're up to. So I guess if we could just start with a bit of an introduction and tell us a little bit about your role here at Ground Control.
so I started at Ground Control as a project manager on the Utility Arb side.
Okay.
I've only recently actually become the quality and compliance manager, and I'm still going through the transition.
Okay.
So as to what it quite
That's
looks
exciting.
like,
Congratulations on the move.
thank you very much. But no, I started as a project manager on the Arb utility, so we survey the power trees around the power lines,
Yep.
and have to gain all these sort of landowner consents and such as.
Yep, that was
Um,
actually where I started as well at Ground Control. I started in utilities, kind of doing I guess, account manager side of things. So yes, I used to look at the maps all the time. Like, yeah, yeah. It's a great way to get to know the UK.
yes, it is definitely.
So, tell us a little bit then about your new role and how you're transitioning into it.
So I've still kept on my current workload, so I'm going to be trying to complete that as I go forwards. Within the new role, I'll be training a lot of the project managers, spending a lot of time with the field teams as well, sort of bringing their standards up a bit. And then I'll still undertake some of the sort of big, nasty, complicated jobs,
Yes,
and actually quite enjoy them.
yeah. Oh, you're a glutton for punishment, is what it sounds like then.
Exactly that, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I had a few where it was a tricky bit of area in Shropshire that we worked on a long time ago now. But yeah, no, I can imagine there are some tricky projects that still exist today. Trees grow. Um, and they
Yeah,
love to grow into power lines, is what I know.
yeah, and often in the worst places.
Yeah. So quality and compliance, and so you're going to be training up the project managers. We're kind of building up a standard then, really, for how we want to operate in utilities, making it probably a bit more efficient and making sure everyone's on the same page. Is that what we're getting at?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's just trying to bring everyone's standards up and essentially just trying to help everyone along, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is dangerous work at the end of the day. Power lines are not, things to be messed with. Health and safety is very key, and making sure everyone gets home safely at the end of the day. So you're still doing a bit of project management. You're doing this quality and compliance manager role. I'm going to guess your typical week is not typical, but can you give us an idea of what you get up to in an average week, I guess we'll say?
Yes, of course. So you're quite right. There is no typical week for us. Normally we'll come into Monday with a plan of how the week looks, and by sort of Monday afternoon, that's completely changed. Um,
Okay.
we have to be very reactive. It's normally a sort of around a 50-50 mix of office-based or field-based.
Okay.
If we're out in the field, we can often be surveying, meeting customers, clients, contractors, auditing. And then it's the same that if we're in the office,
Yeah.
we're sort of planning jobs, raising permits, putting teams to work, budgets, delivery plans, all the fun stuff.
Yeah. It's a lot of like communicating and trying to get people in the right place at the right time is what it sounds like.
Yes, so essentially we're trying to bring multiple businesses together to complete one job,
Yeah.
often in tricky circumstances. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people get a bit protective of their land and their trees. So I can imagine, I guess, is that one of your biggest challenges then? Are your landowners, or is it just honestly or is it the site conditions, I guess? Are those both two of your bigger challenges then that you have to overcome?
yeah, a bit of both. I mean, you can get some great landowners, you can get some pretty tricky ones. To be fair, it's not even just the landowner themselves. It might be more sort of the business that runs it, and they might require permits, or we can
Yeah.
basically anywhere a power line goes, so we have to respond to that accordingly.
Yeah.
Um, each business will have its own sort of health and safety guidelines. So, we obviously have to comply with GCs and the clients and then the landowners.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
There's a lot there. Yeah. How do
yeah.
you manage that then? How do you, that's a lot of moving parts, I guess. How do you manage all those moving parts?
So, we always start with the health and safety first. It's obviously the most important thing to us. And then obviously trying to reach the satisfaction of the landowners and such. So you just sort of work on a hierarchy, you try and figure out what you need to do, the best way to do it, and then how you can do it in a way that suits everyone.
Yeah, and that's kind of, you must have really good relationships with your teams then as well.
Yes, you need to be working well with them. We form a team as opposed to them just undertaking tasks for us, and it's important that we know their competencies and know what they like to do and what they're good at, and
Yeah.
try and look after the best of their skills.
Do you try to spend a lot of time with your teams then, getting to know them when they come on? I mean, some of them I know have been with ground control for a very long time, so you have longer standing relationships. I guess how do you maintain those relationships with your teams?
I think it's about respect. They need to trust us that we're going to look after them and do what's best for them.
Yeah.
And then it's the same. We need to be able to trust them that they're going to do as they're meant to and not take any risks and make sure whatever they're doing properly.
Yeah. So do you guys still, I know back in the day we used Woodplan or Ice2. Is that what you still use to manage all of your projects?
Yep. So we're still very much on Woodplan.
Yeah.
And I quite like the system. I know it's not the easiest system to use, but I've used worse previously.
Okay, there you go.
But, I know a lot of effort's gone into Woodplan, and yeah, we quite enjoy it.
Yeah, because it's quite an interesting, like from what I've seen of others, it's quite an interesting system, and like you get all the mapping, and then you have all your project details and all your photos, everything in one place. It's quite good. Um,
So
what other challenges do you face in your role, I guess, or in your division?
I would say it's probably the variety of tasks we have to undertake. I think there's a lot that we have to do that goes sort of unseen or not isn't recognised, but you just wouldn't expect us.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago, we actually lost one of our project managers to a beaver search.
Oh,
He
wow.
was planning to maintain some trees in the Triple SI site, and part of the ascent Natural England, so we had to prove that beavers weren't present,
Okay.
which we actually failed.
Oh
It
no.
turns out, it turns out the manager there found a pair of privately released beavers much further south than ever reported before in the UK.
Oh really?
And yeah, that took him a good old week of going up and down a river and in waders and such, checking the banks for them.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
that's yeah. That's not how you expect to spend your January, I guess. What are you doing today? I'm looking for beavers today.
yeah, not one you'd often see on a timesheet.
No. Yeah, yeah, because you guys, I mean, we are getting, I mean, we're edging closer to spring, and it's easier to spot these things the closer we get to spring. So I imagine that's quite hard though in January in the cold water as well. That's quite shout out to them for doing that.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and what other like exciting things do you guys have going on at the moment?
So at the moment, our client's SSE, and they're giving us a lot more opportunities to quote for a lot more bigger sort of ash dieback works,
So,
um, which, yeah, we're finding it quite exciting. It means that, like the children we are, we get the big toys out and get a little bit excited.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're starting to working a lot closer with GC Mech as well, so I think you're going to start seeing them pop out on more of our sites.
We're maintaining trees and power lines and along waterways and all sorts, basically everywhere, because power lines go everywhere. Um, there
So,
is more to the job, as you've given a hint to. Do you think there's any misconceptions about the type of work that you do,
I, I wouldn't say so much misconceptions.
or a stereotype, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's probably just I overlooked at how much we actually have to deal with. Everything we're trying to do, we're trying to ensure that obviously we're promoting the good health of the trees, good standard of the good maintaining the actual power line securely as well. And obviously everything we're trying to do to promote sort of nature and the environment. And
Yeah, you're not just knocking down trees, are you? You're most of the time you're not actually knocking down trees. You're sculpting them in a way that promotes growth away from power lines. Is that kind of it? Or
there's a lot more of that. Yeah, it's, we're not just trying to go in and just destroy everything. We're trying to
no?
recreate the nature so it's like sort of work in harmony together.
So you're not just going in and chopping down trees off power lines. There's a lot more nuance to the role than maybe people would think, having worked in the division a bit as well. So is there, I guess, do you think is there anything you wish people would know about, or I guess this is your stage bet. I think is there anything you think is really would be good to know, like especially if, I mean, we're going sometimes on to client sites that we might already be working on in grounds maintenance or winter or construction. Is there anything you think would be good for people to know if they are?
I mean, it's just trying to understand everything. It's we have to be very adaptable. If we could be having traffic management, as you said, sort of railway works, we can be working in quarries, in farms, in woodlands, protected sites. Although it probably looks like we do sort of repetitive tasks, it's all so different, and it's just always trying to overcome that and adapt to that.
How do you is it just that you have lots of tools in your toolbox to be that adaptable, or I guess how do you maintain that adaptability?
Well, it's essentially that. I mean, we have a whole range of field teams with a lot of different skills. And quite often it's just trying to, understand the task of what we're trying to do, trying to make sure that the team that we're putting in there is the best team for that. Playing on people's experience as well, and trying to make sure that whatever we're doing it the best we can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Right, we're going to talk a little bit more about you now, Joe. Let's talk about Joe. So you're talking about experience and building that experience, and part of that is your own personal development and learning. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to in the last year?
So last year, I'm just coming up to the end of my GC managed course, which I've thoroughly enjoyed. So big shout out to the team over there.
Yep.
We're also trying to work like sort of bridging the departments a bit more, so where we rely on sort of rail and all sorts, and the mech teams, working a bit closer with them, trying to understand a bit more about what they do, trying to get their experience more onto what we do. And yeah, just looking to see how we can sort of develop and make the department stronger.
So are you having then, I guess I don't want to say meetings, or are you having check-ins with the rail division and mech division? Are you having guys go out to site and spend more time with those areas of the business to get a better feel?
Yeah, exactly that. So either we'll come out and shadow some of those guys, or they can come out and shadow some of us. And it's just trying to spend a bit more time together and try to understand, I guess, more about what each other do.
Yeah, that's good. It keeps you out of that silo as well to have that breadth of information.
Yes, exactly that.
So is that kind of what the goal for 2025 is, or is there anything else you are personally trying to work towards development-wise?
I mean, it is definitely a goal for 2025. I want to try and look at sort of promoting myself a bit more and maybe doing some like NEBOSH to expand my health and safety knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe some more project management courses just to see if there's further development there. But with the project management courses, I think there's quite a few out there. It's just trying to find which one's right and which one benefits the business the most.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot out there depending on which route you want to go with project management. So I would definitely reach out to the training team. We've had a lot of people do different types of project management and health and safety training in the past. So definitely we're here to support you in that. So I'm conscious of time. I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate you're very busy. So I just want to end on one question, really. Could you tell me a little bit about a recent project or work that you did that you're really proud of?
Ooh, yes, absolutely. So I recently undertook a 33 kV project on behalf of SSC. The network hadn't been maintained for about 6 years or so.
And
It ran,
33, just so I can add a bit of context, those are the big ones, right? Or no,
no, well, the
medium-sized
33,000
ones.
watts, yeah, medium size, I'd say.
Medium size, okay.
Not the metal towers, it's still normally on the wooden poles, but
Okay.
bigger wooden poles.
Yeah. Okay. A bit more power behind them than what's connected to your house, basically, but not the big ones. Okay.
Yes,
Sorry, continue.
no, so just that network ran through a mixture of university land,
Wow.
large swamp-like nature reserve, a selection
Lump.
of floodplains.
Okay.
It was also heavily affected by ash dieback, and the electrical network was in god-awful condition.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's always a challenge.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
like quite the site, if that makes sense. It sounds like it went for miles as well.
yes. So essentially, we had to put in 2.2 miles of £50,000 worth of track matting just
Wow.
to even get access, which we run along a golf course.
Yeah.
So even just getting that out there was massive. We had to work closely with some ecologists as well for the nature reserve, but in turn, actually managed to pick up an additional client being Freshwater Habitat, which is the charity.
Okay.
So we undertook some work for them, obviously because we had the right training. There was some work
Yeah.
that they wanted done around the network as well, so we picked that up as well, which was fantastic to be honest.
Yeah, and that's really helpful to them because they probably wouldn't have otherwise they would have been left looking around and we just happened like it's just perfect timing really is what it sounds like.
Well, that was it exactly. So we actually had to replace all the poles and remove the electrical conductors. So essentially, we took out the entire power lines to do our work, and then took on their work at the same time
Wow.
because it was obviously the safest time to do it.
Yeah. Obviously,
During
just
that,
don't know power lines
yeah,
that they do.
I mean, during that time, we removed about 100 or so ash dieback trees and about another 100 or so dead, dying, or diseased trees, and we had to complete all of this in a 2 week window.
Okay, so very time restrained then, and obviously the physical location is quite hard. So that requires a lot of teamwork. So could you tell us a little bit about how you guys work together as a team?
Yes, so I mean, first of all, we got Skyports down, so that's the drone company that GC are invested in.
Yep.
So we brought them in to basically do a pre-survey and then sort of following it as well, which was all fun because it meant that everyone at SSC and GC was then watching me as well, just to add a bit more pressure to it.
Yeah, no pressure.
But yeah, we brought in about 6 or 7 different contractors to undertake all of the work. It was very hands-on. I had a lot of help from the Oxford team in the SSC contract, and it was essentially just everyone coming together, and it was everyone from the field team to the client to the GC lads, like everyone absolutely smashed it.
Oh, brilliant.
It was a really good result, really really good result.
Wow, well done for that. I think yeah, that's
So
really a testament to really project managing and keeping everyone on the same page, really. So did you have like daily meetings about where your progress was and how you were getting on, or how did you guys keep on schedule? Because that's such a small window to work within.
yeah, so we were obviously with the GC guys, we were sort of catching up in teams in the mornings or the evenings whenever we could get time,
Yeah.
trying to make sure that all our plans we were adapting as we went. In terms of the actual like the field teams out there, we were meeting them every morning. So I was out there every day holding permits for them as well.
Living on site,
Which,
basically.
yeah, yeah, it was a pretty full on couple of weeks, but yeah, no, it was so good to see all the field teams come together. And even though we wear different company names in the high vis or come from different backgrounds, everyone just really pulled together to do everything the best we could do it.
Yeah, and that really shows our capability as well. We talk about our silos at ground control, and I think you've just showed a really great example where we've broken that silo down and we've brought everyone together. And we are one company and one team at the end of the day. So that's really great example of that. So thank you very much for that. I think I might end on that because that's such a great way to, that's such a great example and such a great work. So well done for that. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me today. I appreciate it and hopefully catch up with you again soon.
So much. See
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And thank you for tuning into this episode of the Branching Out podcast. If you would like to learn more about GC Manage or some of the other training programs we discussed, please reach out to us in the training team. Until next time, take care.